So in case you've been living under a rock the last couple of days, you'll know that Final Fantasy XVI was announced at the latest PlayStation event. But in today's video, I'm going to be looking at the trailer, analyzing it, seeing what we can learn from it, and seeing if there's some things that we can learn that aren't immediately obvious just by watching it. Now be sure to subscribe if you are interested in more Final Fantasy XVI content, because I'm going to be doing another video taking a look at the team working on this game and figuring out if we should be worried about it or not. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay. So I think the first thing that is of note that we kind of want to look at is this little tattoo he's got on his face. A lot of people are wondering if the character we see shortly and this character are the same one. I think they are, but it's not super clear. So again, we'll kind of dig further and see what we can find out.
You all know the target. Shiva's dominant.
Okay, so they say Shiva's dominant. I'm wondering if a dominant is somebody that can control summons, or as they're called, we'll learn shortly, they're called icons. And it's not I-C-O-N, it's E-I-K-O-N, I believe, if they're going off of how it's spelled in Final Fantasy XIV. And that's just the name of summons or espers or, you know, Guardian Force. Pick your terminology that you're familiar with. And as we'll go along, we'll see even more of these. But I believe a dominant is somebody that either controls them or has power over the icons.
And only the dominant.
How do we even know the girl will be among them?
Okay, I'm trying to see if these guys are giants or if it's just the camera angle. It's kind of hard to tell, but these guys look pretty big. But again, it might just be the angle it's at.
Our kind do not question orders, we follow them.
And of course, we've got mounted chocobos here. Very cool, very classic.
Sergeant, let's summon their icon.
Okay, and this is obviously Titan, and they said they're summoning their icon. I'm wondering too if, you know, there's different, you know, forces or different kingdoms, and each kingdom has their own icon that is representative of them. So far we already know Shiva, we know Titan, and as this will go on, we'll see even more. So people are wondering what this is. So Square Enix divided how their structure is. So I think there's only 3 business divisions now. So Creative Business Unit 3 is the one that Naoki Yoshida works in, and he is the director and producer of Final Fantasy XIV. So if you're wondering why they even bother mentioning it, that's why, just so that you know, hey, this is the Final Fantasy XIV team. And of course, as previously mentioned, we get a good look at Shiva here. And Titan seems insanely strong. I mean, he's just punching away these freaking ice crystals. Looks super cool. And I think I might have paused at just the perfect time here. But as you can see, this guy gets squished. There's blood. That's something that we're going to look at and we're going to notice even more as this goes on. This is maybe going to be the second M-rated Final Fantasy game. The first being Type 0, but maybe the first core mainline numbered series entry that'll be M-rated, because this is pretty violent.
Our foe will not relinquish their mother crystal easily. This will be a bitter fight.
And some, again, I want to point out, I wasn't sure when I wanted to make this point, but I'm just going to mention it here. A lot of people have been calling for Final Fantasy to return to classic fantasy, classic medieval, and we finally have it. And now everybody's saying, oh, it looks so generic fantasy. It looks so much like Skyrim or Witcher. And I can see what you're saying, but I'm wondering if, you know, this trailer was meant to just sort of set up the world, set up some of the characters, and then later on we'll see more of the world and it'll have that Final Fantasy pizzazz that we have come to know and love. And because I mean, I can't really disagree. It does look kind of bland. Like, none of the character designs really stand out. Nobody has like purple hair or anything crazy. But people have been asking for Final Fantasy to return to high fantasy medieval. So I'm personally really excited that they're returning to this, because I think it's been long overdue. I believe Final Fantasy XII was the last one we got that was really any sort of fantasy. So anyway, let's continue.
You should not be out of doors. We have discussed this.
Ooh, okay. So I'm wondering, this gets played up a little bit later. So this is the main character, and he watches over Joshua. He even says, like, I'm Joshua's shield. And I'm wondering if he's not transferring some of his Ifrit or Phoenix power to the main character. Because it's unclear. That you'll see the Ifrit and Phoenix battle later on. It's kind of unclear who is who. But something worth
Come,
noting.
Joshua. Your father will be expecting us.
I am Joshua's shield.
Yep, Joshua's shield. Yep.
I'm sworn to protect him.
And so now we got another white chocobo, which looks cool. And we got the Final Fantasy theme playing. Okay, so now we jump into the combat. So this is action combat. Here's something I want to mention. People were wondering, people kept saying, oh, this looks like Devil May Cry. It's just going to be a pure action game. I think it's still going to be an RPG. I mean, it's Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy games are RPGs first and foremost. But it's worth noting that the combat designer for Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma is the combat designer for this game. So I think it's safe to say that it definitely will feel a little bit more like that. And another thing I want to mention too is people were concerned is, are we only going to play with this guy? Look right here, there's another character. It's unclear if he's going to be a party member or what his involvement is. Obviously, they didn't really show him at all. But I think this is indicative of the fact that we're going to have party members. It's not going to be, you're not just going to be this guy. I think you will have party members. But the combat looks really cool. Action oriented. So again, he's shooting fire. I'm wondering if he is Ifrit's dominant or the guy that controls Ifrit's power, or maybe he has an ability to control the icons and use their power, because as this trailer goes on, we'll see even more powers that he's using. But it's really cool that he has firepower. It's good to see Magic Bag. Very fast paced.
Did you not pledge your sword to our cause?
And then we got Marlboro, another classic Final Fantasy villain. Looks to be in the same environment that it was before when the combat just started. And I want you guys to pay attention to how he's moving here. It looks like he's strafing. It almost looks like when you do your spell attacks that it might be like a shooter almost, because he's moving very rigidly. Like, I want you to watch his feet, watch how he moves. Very rigid. But again, lots of teleporting. Looks a lot like 15. I've seen a lot of people mention Final Fantasy 15. Definitely 15.
Without the blessing of the Mother Crystal, we cannot defend our realm from the spread of the blight.
Okay, here's a couple plot points that they just kind of sprinkle in and they don't really touch upon. So let's back that up again real quick.
Without the blessing of the Mother Crystal, we cannot defend our realm from the spread of the blight.
Without the help of the Mother Crystal, we cannot help the spreading of the blight. So I think the other thing that is either mentioned in the trailer or something that people were picking up on is that you need the crystals to take control of the icons and be their dominant, I believe. And so there's also a blight. And so I don't know exactly what that means. That could just be something they're referring to for another nation, or there's literally like a disease going around. It's kind of unclear, but it sounds like there is a mother crystal. So I'm wondering if there is some bigger crystal that rules over the others, like maybe Knights of the Round or Alexander. Or I'm trying to think of a big hefty Ramu, maybe like one of those big hefty summons that would be more powerful than the rest. We don't really see those, but maybe we'll learn more in another trailer. Okay, and of course, here again is a return to classic Final Fantasy. We see a Dragoon. And he even mentions that by name, I think, in a second. Okay, right here. Here's something else I want to mention. You can even hear it a little bit. Let me play you guys back that real quick. Pay attention to the sound. You can almost hear like a chocobo sound or some sort of bird sound. I think your main character is going to be able to take control of the icons, or at least like imbue himself with their powers, because first of all, we had him shooting fire earlier, and now he's got some sort of like Phoenix move that he can do. So it looks like he either has the Phoenix power or he has Ifrit and the Phoenix's power. So there's even more that they'll show in a little bit. But cool to see a Dragoon. Again, classic Final Fantasy.
So, I sent in the Dragoons. Imperial Vipers. Do they really mean to invade us?
I'm bad with, but I know this is a classic Final Fantasy villain or just enemy. You look back on any Final Fantasies, you'll see this guy a lot. You guys can correct me in the comments. Forgive me for not knowing his name, but this is definitely a recurring villain. And something you'll notice too is that the character has changed gear. It's not the younger one. This looks like the older guy. If indeed it's the same guy, and there's a time skip. And I kind of just want to pause here just to show just some mix of environments. Like here we're outside. There's been a lot of questions about whether or not people think this is going to be open world or not. Personally, I think it will be. I think it's going to be open world. I think they've learned their lessons from 15. 15 was so empty, and I think they're going to do it right. And if they don't do open world, I think they'll do like a wide linear, kind of like they did with Dragon Quest XI, where the environment, there's room to explore, there's places to go, but you can't really get lost. But I'm going to hedge my bet on it being open world just because I think it's time. Okay, let me see if he's also using a different something here. It's some kind of blue... a blue claw. I wonder if that's maybe that's a behemoth or something like that, but there's some big blue claw thing. That's definitely not Shiva, because Shiva would be more ice focused, but he's got some kind of some big claw with some blue coming out the back. I guess the only thing I can think of is behemoth, but that's not really you don't really see that as a summon in any game, not that I know of. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment what you think this might be. And then, of course, bam, very bloody. Dude getting his head chopped off, blood on the kid's face. I mean, unless they cut all this out, which I don't think they're gonna, because it seems like they're going for more of a darker tone here. This is gonna be M-rated for sure. And then we see that Phoenix thing again. Ooh, I wonder if... I'm going to back this up. I wonder if this might be a white... kind of a white mage looking guy. He's got a hood. Definitely a caster of some kind.
It's the Archduke's son.
Okay, again, here's another ability. We got these big fists. Could that be Titan? Could he have Titan's abilities? I'm telling you, I think controlling the icons or the summons in this game is going to be a big part of your character specifically. I wonder, at the beginning of the trailer, they show these guys, you're in this order, and he keeps saying like, we don't question orders, we just do them. So I'm wondering if you're part of some crew to take out all the icons or something, and maybe you have some kind of specific powers to control them all. But he's already shown shooting fire. He's got the Phoenix uppercut. He's got those blue claw things. He's got Titan arms. I mean, that's 4. So I wonder if we're just going to continue to see that. So let me go back to where we were here.
Phoenix.
Yeah, this is very ambiguous what's happening here, because it's unclear if Joshua is summoning Phoenix or if he turns into Phoenix. Because obviously his eyes are glowing, he's turning red, but then it cuts away. Yeah, it cuts away and Phoenix is just shown. So it's not, to me, it's not clear. Nah, I think that must be, I think they must control them, because they said Shiva's dominant, which has to be somebody controlling them. So I guess maybe that's just what it looks like when they call upon their summons. And then there's Ifrit, however you want to say it.
Second icon of fire. But that's impossible.
Again, not clear who is controlling Ifrit. But it looks pretty badass.
Crystals. Has shaped our history. For long enough.
Okay, and then something else to point out too is, there's blood splattering, and he's yelling Joshua, so is Ifrit killing Joshua? And then he makes a pretty bold claim here.
I'll kill you. If it's the last thing I do.
I'll kill you if it's the last thing I do. So I'm wondering if, in this scene here, Ifrit is killing Joshua, and now he's out for revenge. Because he keeps saying, you can hear him saying, Joshua, wake up. So I'm wondering if he's like lying dead and he's like trying to revive him. And then again, is this the same character? So this guy, oops, went a little too far. This guy and this guy, are they the same character? I mean, you look at their eyes, you look at their nose, it looks to be the same guy. So it must have been he was the protector of Joshua, and then there was a time skip and things are crazy. And then we've got 16, and so this looks like Ifrit battling Phoenix. So that is clearly a pivotal part of the story. So anyway, that is about all the things that I could find. To me, it seems like that summons are going to be a huge component of the story. They talk about these dominants and the icons, so it's like there's certain people that can control the summons, and they're trying to hunt them down or something. And then I want to say that most of these early shots, so this is obviously something different, but I think all these shots here, I want to say that might just be the intro, or that might just be chapter 1, where you're like, you get to know Joshua, you're his shield, you walk around, you protect him, you might go to the forest and you fight some simple baddies, but he clearly has some hidden power that either he doesn't know about, or maybe only the two of them know about, or something, or Joshua's struggling to deal with having this power. And then either Joshua dies or he goes crazy or something like that, and there's a time skip, and now they're just trying to hunt down all the dominants, all the people that can control the icons. So anyways, I'm pretty excited. I know this trailer wasn't super hype. I posted a few things on the community tab, and a lot of people were not all that enthused. And even I had an episode of the Giant Sword podcast, which I'll link to in a bit, that you can go watch, where we have a longer discussion about this, where a lot of us weren't like super hyped. But I feel like the team behind it is what gives me the most confidence. And that'll be my next video. I'm going to be diving into the team behind Final Fantasy XVI and why, and, just answering the question, should we be worried about this game? So definitely subscribe if you're not already, to stay tuned for that video and all my future coverage of Final Fantasy XVI, because I will be doing a lot more. This will not be the last video on 16. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.